Hey, welcome back to the Marketing for Business podcast. Hey, this is a super exciting episode. If you're listening to this on the 26th of March, it's my birthday. So I thought I'd create a birthday present for you guys and share some things that I know that actually will help you make money in your business. Now, here's also the reason I'm doing this is Digital Influence is 10 this month. We actually had a party on the 20th. Some of you might have been there, but we turned 10 as a business. So I wanted to give you some things that I've learned about business and about marketing that will actually make you money. So it's my gift to you. And look, they're in no particular order. They're just a number of things that I've learned that will help you. And here's the thing. I'm really privileged to be in business. I love it. I get to come every day and do what I love, and I get to serve customers. Some of our customers have been with us for 10 years, and I don't take that for granted. I really appreciate the fact that they have trusted us this long to actually help them grow their businesses. And I've seen some real amazing transformations in some of the companies that we've dealt with from day one, but also I'm seeing some amazing transformations in the companies that have been with us now for 7 years, 8 years, 6, 5, 4, 3, and now some new clients. We're starting to get some real traction for them, and it's built around a lot of marketing philosophy, which some of it I'll share here. But it's also about building a team that's better and bigger than just me. And that was one of my goals and dreams, is to hire people and get out of their way, support them, grow them. And I'm lucky enough to have some employees now, some team members, I should say, that have worked for me for 10 years. Olivia, who a lot of you guys will know, has worked for me for 10 years, and it's been amazing to see her grow. And I really hope, as a business owner, as an employee yourself, you get to have that. And I know a lot of our clients already have. Some of them I've learned from. I've been going 30, 40 years. So, I'm just getting started, as they would say. Anyway, I wanted to share a bunch of things, no particular order. So I thought I'd get off with the first one, and that is, most people will judge you even before they know you. And I'll say that again because it's a good statement to understand. Most people will judge you even before they know you, and this is so true now, even more so. It's probably something I've really, really learned in the last 5, 6 years with social media, and how to play that out. And one thing I looked at is, well, if this is true, then how do I get people to know, like, and trust us faster? How do I actually help create this for our clients? So, okay, if they're going to judge us, let's judge us this way. We're going to actually tell them the story that they're going to judge us on. So I created a little bit of a formula around this know, like, and trust. And the first one is know. And know, I create a character. So what is the character you want to get known for? And then look, when business owners, when I talk to them about this, they give me a bit of a blank stare. What do you mean by that, Scott? And I'll share a bunch of stories throughout this podcast on what I mean. But so for me, when I look at a character trait that I wanted to get known for, I looked at celebrate your victories. So I actually created a hashtag called celebrate your victories. The reason for that is I'm really for people celebrating and winning. I love the fact that you should be proud of your success. And look, I know that's not true so much so in New Zealand and in Australia. Like in America, it's totally different. People love that you're successful. But in New Zealand, Australia, it's not so much. We have this thing called tall poppy syndrome. So I'm radically against that. I can't stand it. I want to be for people that really want to win and want to celebrate their success. So I created this hashtag because I wanted to get known as someone who celebrated their victories, and not only my victories, but the reason for creating this hashtag is I could celebrate my clients' victories, my team's victories along the way, and push them up. And the cool thing about it, it's a character trait that we've got known for. So in that know, like, and trust, we are known for celebrating victories. So when a lot of business owners, that's great, but what could I do? Well, here's a thing I want every business owner to get known for, and that is useful and helpful. Why is that? Well, have you ever met someone who's useful and helpful? Have you ever come across someone and you go, wow, that person's really useful and helpful? A good example of that is go to Mitre 10 or go to a Bunnings and ask people, hey, if you want to know a particular thing to do around your house, etc. You'll find someone who's useful and helpful there, and that person will stick in your mind. That person will stick in your mind, and you might tell other people about that interaction because they were useful and helpful to you. I want that for every business owner. Every business owner I meet sits on a mountain of knowledge. Not only that, the employees sit on a mountain of knowledge inside this head. Maybe just sharing some of that in videos, etc., can position you as useful and helpful. And that's a really, really good character trait to get known by. Okay, and the next part is like. So we want you to, once they know you, want them to like you. Well, how do we get people to like us in today's environment? Well, like is about creating chemistry. So a good way to create chemistry, and there's a couple of examples for myself personally. I was talking to a real estate agent years and years ago, and I was talking to her through how do you when do you know you're going to get a listing? And she goes, "Oh, I always know I'll get a listing if the dog is if there's a dog in the house." And I was like, "Why is that?" And she goes, "Oh, well, if a dog lover, I'm a dog lover. I will just go up to the dog and pet the dog before I even start talking to the people." And I was like, "That's interesting, right? Because dog lovers like other dog lovers." She goes, "Yeah, yeah. So I'll spend time with the dog, getting to know the dog, petting, blah blah blah. But then by the time I talk to the people, they already know me. They already like know." And I was like, "Do you see why this is happening though?" And I was like, "Yeah, she did." But at the same time, she didn't understand what I was talking about. And I was like, "Hey, you like dogs, so why not use dogs in your marketing?" And she thought about it and I was like, like other dog lovers like other dog lovers. You're creating chemistry. It's this like, you're manufacturing this like, and it's subliminal at that stage inside your marketing, right? So years later, well, not even years later, 6 months later, she's using the dog in her marketing and going very, very well, picking up more listings because she knows she's going to pick up those listings because of that. The next part is really, really important today, and that's about trust. Trust is probably one of the biggest things a business owner can really build on, especially now where we're moving into this world of AI. So trust is about demonstrating credibility. Remember most people are going to judge you before they know you. Once they know you, once they like you, one of the other key things is you must demonstrate credibility. And how to do that? Well, getting on video today is a big part of that. And I know that's scary for a lot of business owners, but really, the ones that our clients that are getting on video now are really starting to reap the rewards because people want to deal with people they know, like, and trust. And look, if people know you, people see you, they're going to trust you, and you're demonstrating your credibility by what you know. So just simply getting on video, recording 2-3 minute kind of Q&A videos is a great way to demonstrate credibility and demonstrate what you know. Look, in the world of sameness, in the world of AI that we're moving into, this is a little bit of a hack where you can get in front of the queue to get people to know, like, and trust you. So that's number one. Number two, and I learned this probably maybe 7 or 8 years ago, and that's being useful will take you further than being impressive. And it's kind of a little bit of what I was talking to you about before. But look, smart people, that they will forget someone who's very charming quickly, but they'll remember the person that solves their problems, and made life easy for them. And I really I see this play out on a daily basis. People have a radar, and they have a bullshit radar, right? People nowadays are very quick to know if you're pulling the wool over their eyes. I call it, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And people so nowadays people can see through it, right? So being useful will take you more, you don't actually have to be impressive. You have to be, I guess, a great conversation with a young gentleman the other day about this, and caring. Caring is a strategy for marketing now, and actually caring about your customer will take you a long, long way, especially when it comes to the world we live in today. Number three is small hinges swing big doors. This is such a powerful thing for me. I remember hearing it. It was a gentleman called Mel Emery. I was at a conference in Australia. It was probably pre starting this business, but I remember him saying, small hinges swing big doors, and I started to think about it, and I've thought about it a lot over the years. And really, lots of businesses, are looking to hit a home run. They want their marketing to hit a home run for them. And look, I'm not saying your marketing can't, but generally that's a campaign. It's not a sustained marketing effort to hit a home run, and one of the key things, I guess, from that perspective is to be actively listening to the opportunities in your marketplace by listening to or reading the Google reviews of your competitors, or what your customers are writing about you, reading the comments on ads of your competitors. All these little things that you can do can add up to your campaigns being more successful. Listening is a real key one when it comes to small hinges. Lots of businesses, they get sucked into thinking, oh, I need to go viral. And all the challenge, and I've seen this time and time again, most businesses don't need to go viral. You need 100 views on your videos. You need 200 views on your videos. You need 300 views on your videos. Because just imagine if you could speak in front of 300 people. Would you take that as a business owner? Of course you would, every day, all day, and it's probably something you could handle because maybe 10% of that becomes a client, etc. So you want to be looking for small wins. I'll give you a good example of this. Years and years ago, we were working with Little India. One of the chefs mentioned in a filming session that they don't use sugar in their curries. And one of my guys, Ryan, was smart enough to go, well, what do you use? And I'm pretty sure they said it was a cashew and tomato-based paste. And then it was like, oh, so that makes your curry sugar-free. And all of a sudden, we had another marketing angle. We could go to the market with sugar-free curries. Now, at the time, that's a big thing because the movement at the time was about keto and keto being keto friendly, etc. So all of a sudden, we could advertise our dishes as keto friendly. It led to another conversation of someone writing on a feed, "Do you guys do cauliflower rice?" Crazy, like all of a sudden, cauliflower rice is a thing. Next minute we talk to Arjun, can we put cauliflower rice on the menu? He was already thinking about it. It's on the menu. Within 2 weeks it's on the menu. Within 2 weeks it's sold out. And this is the little things, small hinge, an insight inside the chef's head, that all of a sudden means a big thing to the marketplace. So inside your business, what are some of the small things that you get asked on a daily basis that could swing a big door for you, that could open up another revenue stream, that could open up another angle for talking to your customers, could open up another angle for talking to your existing customers or your past customers, So always looking for that small hinge to swing a big door. I love talking about this. This is one of the areas I'm really, really good at spotting inside a business. So if you ever want to have a chat, more than happy to have this chat with you and see how we can make that happen in your business. Number 4, this is probably something for the people that are starting out in business. But it's a good reminder for every business. And this really hit me probably really early on in digital influence. And that is comfort can slowly weaken a business. Comfort can slowly weaken a business. When you start to make money inside a business, you can very, very quickly get comfortable, right? And a caveat to this is when money starts coming in, you need to remember it's not your money. Okay, and the reason for that is the tax man need to get some of this money. And if right? If you've been in business long enough, you've probably learned a few lessons around this tax man. And a great book for this is a book by a guy called Michael Michalowicz. It's a book called Profit First. I'm lucky enough to read it probably second, third year into business. So set up the right structures for finance inside my company. But if you don't, like money will go and can take control of your business in 2 ways. You become soft because you have this money and you actually don't go out hard enough. I remember when I first left the corporate world, I remember someone telling me, save up 6 months worth of income and then go out on your own. And I did, and I left the corporate world. Actually, looking back, I wish I'd saved maybe 2 months. That 6 months was too comfortable for me personally. I didn't need all that money laying there. It didn't make me hungry enough. So fast forward now, when money comes inside our business, we put money into our profit account, money into our tax account, and money into our operating account. So we know, taxes are taken care of. Profit, well, if we're running the business the right way, we're going to be profitable. So there's going to be profit. Why not have it in a profit account? And then we know what our trading account is. So we're never sitting comfortable on a lump sum of cash that, in the land of the blind, you could think you're the king because you have this money. Well, actually, you don't. It's not your money. And look, I think that's a really good key thing to learn. Understanding money. And money changes options, right? It gives you the options available to you when you understand money and you know how to use it. And it's probably the biggest thing I've learned in business when it comes to finances. Have a good understanding of finances. Talk to your accountant about your finances. Set up the structures inside your business so that money flows for you and money is directed by you, not the other way around. And this is something, lucky enough that this works for me. And I've created a multi-million-dollar business now with personally, a multiple million-dollar investment portfolio, business portfolio. And now I'm starting starting a property portfolio, but that wasn't always that way. And it's the reason now being able to do that is because, setting up these right structures. So, Michael Michalowicz is a great book to read, Profit First. If you're looking from a financial perspective yourself, The Barefoot Investor by Scott Pepe is a fantastic read from a situation on how to use the money and put it in the right areas. That was something I really, really learned. Number five, marketing fails at the weakest link. And I learned this real early, probably in my first business, no, second business, sorry. Um, and we were running direct mail campaigns. And I've seen this time and time again now. Look, marketing fails at the weakest link. And sometimes you just have to be honest. You could be the weakest link inside your marketing chain. So when you analyze marketing, where is it falling over? And this is why having analytics set up, this is why having data being tracked is so important. In this example, we're working with this engineering firm, and the lady who was going to be doing the callbacks, who normally worked for us, was not available. She's on another project. So the admin lady decided that she would take up the calling back. And we knew from experience, if we send these letters, we'd get this amount of response. And within a 4 to 5 week period, we realized our response was tanking. And it wasn't until we went back to find out that the admin person hadn't been calling, because at the end of the day, she said she wanted to do it, but she didn't really want to do it. And that was the weakest link. And the weakest link was actually us in that scenario. It wasn't her. It was our thinking. We should have actually helped her, one, trained her on how to do it, or really dug deep and finding out, if she really wanted to do it. Because calling people, even in a direct response situation, is never, it's never that fun, I guess, for some people, right? So, looking at and analyzing your marketing and finding the weakest link, go through it and see where could be the weakest link here, and then wrapping stuff around it, either wrapping training around it, and helping that situation, or wrapping data around it, wrapping analytics around it, so you can actually see, or then automating some of that process so you don't actually even have to touch it in today's world. But understand that marketing will fall at the weakest link. If marketing has failed, generally there'll be a weak link there. It could be the message, it could be the offer, it could be the the media that you're using, and it's small tweaks towards looking at that can really make a huge difference, and once again open up another conversation. Number six is something that my wife definitely taught me, and it's season, reason, lifetime. Some people come into your life for a season, some people come in for a reason, and some people come into a lifetime. And you must walk away sometimes without explaining. And that's a real hard one for a lot of people. I know it's something I've had to learn. But some arguments, some environments, and some relationship drain you more than they should, right? And they drain you more than you give as well. And that's, something else my wife Kerry taught me, is having a 50% line. And sometimes if you find yourself doing 60% all the time and the other person's only giving 40, sometimes you have to pull that back and only give 50%, because that's the way a good relationship should work. And knowing when to leave protects, your time, your energy, and your self-respect. There's been times for us when we've been working with clients, and look, in 10 years that we haven't had 100% victories. We've had some clients that it just didn't work with, and look, we take ownership of that. Part of results not reasons, part of our core values. But at the same time, we knew that we needed to leave those business relationships, because we just couldn't help them. Like you're coming up sometimes against a brick wall, and the best thing you can both do is depart, because marketing is not for everyone. Everyone does tell me they want to market their business, but sometimes marketing a business can be quite stressful. All of a sudden, you got to be on camera, you got to be on video. All of a sudden, the phone's ringing more than you ever thought. All of a sudden, you've got these inquiries coming in, and it's like, hang on, I didn't actually want to be this busy. It can cause stresses, and it's not just stresses that, all of a sudden, I know, one business that we've dealt with for probably the last 9 years now, they've gone through a massive hiring in the last 2, 3 years. The snowball has just ramped up. and all of a sudden, they are growing, and that, so that does cause some stress as well. So hey, season, reason, lifetime. Take a look at it, analyze some things inside your business, and you'll start to see some pictures inside. One of my favorites, number 6, is consistency of message plus frequency of reach to become relevant. This is something I know works in marketing. Okay, if you have a consistent message and you're frequent in your reach to the ideal target market, and you all of a sudden become relevant, you are on the shopping list for when it comes to them making a buying decision. Now, here's the challenge. And I'm going to make some more videos about this. I bought myself a flip chart. I'm going to go back to old school and be drawing some stuff. Most people, there's most marketers, most companies, most advertisers are trying to advertise to the smallest percent of people that are buying right now. The challenge for you and the challenge for most businesses, that's the most expensive part of where people are trying to advertise. The action taking section. That is expensive. But if you have consistency of message, you have frequency of reach, you become relevant over time when people are ready to buy. So you need to actually be marketing to a whole group of people that are not ready to buy yet. And marketing, when you do this, you start to build the consistency of message, which builds your brand. You start to build the frequency of reach, which builds your brand, which starts to build your relevancy, which builds your brand. So when it's time for people to buy something, you become part of the shopping list. And if you've done this right, if you've built the know, like, and trust through character, through chemistry and credibility, guess what? There's a high likelihood that they're going to choose to do business with you. Now, the challenging part for businesses, this doesn't take 90 days. This takes a year. This takes 18 months. This takes consistency of message, frequency of reach to become relevant. And the thing is, you become relevant at certain times for certain people. And that's what I always talk about: quality people versus quantity people. Some people as well only need to see 1 or 2 videos. They're the quality people, and they decide to make a decision. 2 bits of marketing, boom, make a decision, because they were relevant at that time. Other people, they'll need to see a lot more content, a lot more of your videos, your marketing, etc. Their quality and all of us, their quantity, and all of a sudden they make a buying decision when they are ready, and you become relevant. The challenge: you need to be in the queue. You need to be in the queue. As Jim Rohn said to me on a video once, I remember watching this video. He said, "How do you get to the front of the queue?" He was all silent. I was thinking about it. And he said, "Well, you stay in the queue." How do you get to the front of the buffet queue? You stay in the queue. Sounds simple, but for a lot of people, when it comes to marketing, it's not. They get out too early, which causes them to lose money. Hey, it's 2026. You're listening to this podcast and you've probably heard of AI. So here's what I want you to do. We've created a free playbook that'll actually help you with AI and help your business get recommended. So all you need to do is go to the show notes or the link that's in this video, and I'll send you this playbook for free. Right. Number 8 is strategy first thinking. Strategy first thinking is a big one for me. I really believe it's in my DNA that you should design your marketing strategy to pick the tactics to produce the results you want. Sometimes you have to go slow to go fast. Good example of that is we had a client, not a client, we had an opportunity to sell our services to a prospect last year. Now, this client decided not to go with us because we were offering a strategy first product where you come in, we go through everything, we high performance review everything inside your business when it comes to sales and marketing. We create a really solid bespoke plan for you, generally 20-25 pages. You come back in, you know exactly where you are in the process of sales and marketing. They decided they didn't want that. They went with a competitor of ours who was just offering a Facebook ad solution. Now, here's the thing: started off really well, all good. Then all of a sudden started to dip. Performance started to dip. Results started to dry up, and then the company didn't know why. And then the company, their agency that they were talking to didn't know why, because they haven't grounded themselves in strategy. They haven't grounded themselves in who the ideal client is, the message to that market, and not just one message, but three, four, five, six, seven, messages, because, having a consistent message to those target market areas, and being frequent with some of those, because the thing is, you you're not buying from yourself, right? So a lot of times business owners will just think, oh, this is the message we need, But the reality is, lots of times it's different messages that hit the target market. Anyway, because this company didn't understand the strategy, they had nothing to fall back on. Results dried up to the point where they were getting, small amount of leads. A year later, they come back to us and said, "Hey, would you consider helping us?" And look, happy to jump in there, because we actually know how to move the needle when we know the strategy that they need, right? But it really made me realize, I'm glad that we decided to go slow to go fast, because we know we get better results, and it can be sometimes a little bit frustrating for people, because we're not here to be the 90-day nightmare. We're here to be your long-term growth partner, and that's the strategy and the philosophy and the thinking behind this, that I've had for years. I want customers to be with us for a long time. I want them to know they're in safe hands. I want them to know that we're going to evolve. It doesn't matter what technology is coming. We're going to evolve, because we're underpinned with strategy first thinking. We're always thinking about where the puck is going, and we're going to be there. Clients are in safe hands because of that. Tactics will come and go. Trust me. When I first started, I was with digital influence. We were doing Facebook. I was probably 3 years too early on Facebook, and then all of a sudden, it's crazy what is out there now. You got TikTok, Snapchat. There's a whole bunch of different platforms that you could be advertising your business on. So design your strategy to pick the market. Design your marketing strategy to pick the tactics to produce the results you want. Part of that too is, what are the results that you want? Be very, very clear on the results that you want, and make sure they align with your business strategy. Don't just pick up any old results. Like, really take the time to talk to someone about this. Make them workshop with you on the results that you want, and how does that affect your business? How does that affect your business long term? How does it in the midterm? Really start to understand that, because when marketing goes, marketing, and good marketing, I'm talking about, when you have that consistent message, when you have that frequency of reach, you do become relevant. People start to shop you. You will start to grow your business quicker than you ever thought possible. So please, marketing strategy first. Number 9, something I dearly love, and it's something we started in the business pretty early. This is about purpose, mission, and core values. I think, if I look at how we've been able to grow a really, really good team around us, and even have people come in and out of our team, we have a really, really good culture around, our purpose is to influence, educate, and inspire growth together. I want every business to have a purpose. I think it's something that, if you get clarity on, can really, really help you. And I know my team does a lot of stuff to influence people. They're doing a lot of things to educate people, and they actually inspire growth together. I know a few of my team. Well, I'd say 90% of my team, when they go to clients, they want the client to win more than some of the people that work for that client, right? And I don't say that to be arrogant or anything. I know that to be true. My team wants our clients to win. Our mission at Digital Influence is to be the most trusted digital agency in New Zealand. We want to be the most trusted digital marketing agency in New Zealand, and we're working towards that. We're doing some things this year that get us out of the comfort zone, because we know we have to do that to become the most trusted, right? So that's a mission, and it's so good this you're bringing in the team around. What can we do? What can we do to help our mission? And then there's that core values. We have some great core values, and we have some good core values that are in the Hall of Fame as well. But I'll share a couple. Be team focused is one, and it's one that gets brought up all the time when it comes to our core values. Be team focused is about, hey, it's not just your job. Just because it's not your job doesn't mean it's not your job, right? Being team focused is digging in and helping your team, helping them succeed. Giving them, I guess. If they need some help, you get in there and you actually help. And when we have our core value Friday, when we have stand up, etc., Our stand-up meetings. The one on Friday is core values in action. This one always gets brought up a lot. People shouting out how team members have been team focused, and it's really cool to see this living out. I know we have them on the wall, but our core values get lived every day. And this one thing I'd say to people: if you're going to have full core values, you should be able to hire and fire on them, and you should be able to live them. Do things to live your core values. One of ours is celebrate your victories. Is a retired Hall of Fame victory, but core value. We've got it in the Hall of Fame, but we still live it. We still live it every week. We have a win of the week. Our win of the week, we have a really awesome wins channel for all the wins that we're getting our clients. And then on a Friday, also everyone puts in a win of the week. What's their win of the week? And on the corresponding week, people get to choose or the winner from the last week gets to choose who was the winner of this week, and the winner gets a Sharesies voucher, a $20 Sharesies voucher. So it's a great way to keep that core value alive. Another really cool core value is courage over comfort. Courage over comfort is about, okay, what can we do in certain circumstances to take courage over just being comfortable, and we've had people go and do seminars. We've had people go and do presentations. We've had one of our youngest team members join Toastmasters. Courage over comfort. We're in the marketplace. I've got someone at a design conference at the moment, and it's pushing themselves into areas where, not naturally where they want to be, but they're choosing courage over comfort. And I think this is the beautiful thing about core values, and the beautiful thing about having them and living them on a daily basis, and that leads into, our stand-ups. We have daily stand-ups every week, 9:15 on a Monday, on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Whether it doesn't matter who is in, if you're in the office or you're working from home or you're part of our overseas team, all meet online, 9:15. And it's amazing to see people coming together talking about, the on a Tuesday. I love Tuesday is choose your own attitude. What is the attitude that you're going to bring today? And you see that attitude play out. You know, Thursdays are Teach Me Thursday. I love Teach Me Thursdays, and you get people teaching other team members in 30 to 45 seconds on what they've been learning and how someone else might be able to use that. And all of a sudden, someone will yell out loom, so then someone will create a loom, and that all of a sudden we have that information being captured team wide. So this is the beautiful thing, and then we have awarenesses and any wins, etc. In this stand-up meeting. Generally, they take 20 minutes. Happens every day without fail. And it's about keeping core values, keeping the culture, keeping, the purpose and the mission alive. I said, so for business owners, hey, look, if you want to know anything about that, I'm happy to have a chat about that. It's such a thing that's so I guess dear to my heart, because I see it play out and I see people buying into it. Especially young people these days, they want to be part of something, and this gives them an opportunity to be part of something. Number 10, and this is I think every business should do this, but it's start a podcast. Start a podcast, or at least start recording some videos like this. Share your thoughts, share what you do, share how you turn up in this world. Maybe it's just a couple of videos, maybe it's a series of videos, but maybe it's a podcast that turns into a video podcast. The first podcast I ever recorded was with Mr. Kevin Eder from Trade Staff. Fantastic business, fantastic gentleman, and he shared so much about his I guess how he got started, and Trade Staff's been a client of ours for a long, long time. And I started recording it on an iPhone. Sat down with Kevin in his boardroom, recorded the first episode, and like, you can't let technology stop you. Reality these days, like, this is 3 years later now. We've got a studio, we've got some mics, and we've got a camera, etc. But you don't need any of that. You just need a good audio, a good mic, and But if I was going to do anything, I'd be doing it on camera, because you can put that on YouTube. YouTube is a secret weapon for business owners, especially if you want to play in this AEO world, or this artificial intelligent world with answer engines. Definitely re-recording video, put it on YouTube, cut it up, and really start to use it to your advantage in that space. But creating a podcast podcast are probably one of the best things we did inside our business. One, from a contents perspective, but also from meeting other people and getting in front of other people. We're exposing ourselves to a bigger audience just by having a podcast, and also, I'm just curious. You get to talk to some amazing people, some amazing business owners, and I get to share their story with you. So I really appreciate you as a listener of the podcast too. It's been amazing to see it grow over these last 3 years. And look, all we're doing is sitting in front of a camera talking and sharing our thoughts and helping people. So that would be it for me. Really, really start a podcast. Right, I got two bonuses to finish. Two bonuses to finish. The first one is build depth and connections, not width. And I think this is so important in the AI world that we live in today, and what we were going into is build depth in your connections. I remember going to dinner with a couple of gentlemen and their wives, with my wife, probably about 10 years ago, and I remember going. It was on Victoria Street. It was the old King of Snake on Victoria Street here in Christchurch, and I remember sitting there with these gentlemen and their wives, and they were so nice. They were both, successful businessmen, way more successful than I was at the time. And I left that meeting going, my God, I said to my wife on the way home, what do they want from us? Because I was very suspicious. I'd brought up in a family that said that business people, were greedy. Business people were, all these types of things. And I was out starting my business, and I was really suspicious. But then I grew to realize, and I realized one day the connection I'd built with these gentlemen over the following years, and I think my wife said it best to me. She said, Scott, you don't realize how much you are helping these gentlemen. You are taking them into another world of marketing that they've never been into before, and they trust you. So you need to trust them, that they don't want something from you. They actually like you. They want to build a relationship with you, and you add value to that conversation. And it was a big one. It was a big learning for me. And so I've always been curious about building depth, and I'd rather have 10 really, really good friends than 100 friends, and I always say on LinkedIn, that was my big thing. I don't want to have the most people on LinkedIn. I want to have the most connected, and the same in my relationships with people. That was a massive one for me. So when you look inside your business, you build depth and connection, go the extra step, go further, because, it means a lot to people, and you never underestimate who else is watching that too, and I think that's the coolest thing I've seen over the years. If you build connections, you build depth, and you do things to actually bring people together, like some of the lunch and learns and the breakfasts that we do, all of a sudden other people start to see this and they want to be part of it. So, be that connector and build that depth of connection. And lastly, and bonus number 12 is really have fun. Have fun and celebrate your victories. Like, as a business owner, or as anyone who's working inside a business, I think my dad said it best to me. I remember him, like, dad didn't really know what I did as a marketer. He didn't know why. I remember him saying to him, like, "Well, I was going to speak in Melbourne." And he's like, "Why would people want to listen to you?" And I was like, "Well, because I know what I'm talking about." Anyway, he didn't really understand. But remember talking to dad about some stuff. He was a freezing worker, and he loved freezing work. He was 47 years as a freezing worker. And I always remember him saying, Scott, if you don't like what you do, you can leave. It's not a jail. And I felt that was really, really interesting for someone who worked in the same place for 47 years, but he loved it. He's actually pretty sad when he got made redundant from that, when it kind of all closed up. It was very, very sad, for him. And I think he probably felt a wee bit lost because of, the community and the camaraderie that they had there. But I always remember him saying it's not a jail. So for me personally, I'm like, I'm always, you gotta have fun. You gotta enjoy what you're doing. There's no point. Life is way too short. And I've lost a couple of good mates, and realize how short life is. So, go out there and have fun and celebrate your victories. Don't be afraid to shout out from the rooftops when you do succeed. Because tell you what, there's enough people out there that'll shout out back to you, good on you, and keep going. And I think that's the coolest part. So, being in business can be tough. tough. I definitely know. Like the first 5 years, first 5, 6 years of running a business, man, it was tough. It was money on a credit card. It was, it was really, really hard. There was no real, it felt like I would be better off at a job than running a business. But then it starts to turn. You start to learn, all that learning starts to turn to earning. That's why I say to young people, what stage of life are you in? Are you in the earning stage or the learning stage? If you're in the learning stage, here's what we can put in for you. If you're in the earning stage, well, here's what we expect, because you need to be making us some money and the client's money. So really understanding that. And I understood that we were in that learning stage, and now, business is changed, and it becomes a different game as you employ now up to now 20 something people, building a leadership team, building an emerging leaders program, and like the core focus is, the purpose really to influence, to educate, and inspire growth together. That's why we're here, and we part of doing that, we're on a mission to become the most trusted. So, and that said, I really want to thank you for listening to this podcast on my birthday. Hopefully, this has been a present to you. And also, thanks for being part of the journey of the podcast, inside digital influence being 10 years. I really appreciate you listening. So do me a favor. If you're going to share one episode, share this one. I'd love to share. Tag me in on LinkedIn, share this, or tag me in on Instagram and shout out happy birthday and celebrate your victories. You'll make my day, and I'd love to see that. Anyway, thanks for your time. Have fun, take action, and as always, celebrate your victories.